Hello, and welcome to Soft Spoken Storytime, Episode 58. SCP-024 Game Show of Death. Item Number SCP-024 Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Due to its nature, SCP-024 cannot be moved to a secure location, so security measures must be placed on site. To conceal its location, 5 identical-looking replicas have been erected around SCP-024. A tight security perimeter must be maintained around SCP-024's compound at all times, with separate security teams guarding SCP-024 and its replicas. None of the security teams, except for team leaders, will be informed of the locations of SCP-024. SCP-024 must be secured with magnetically sealed blast doors and reinforced armored walls to prevent unauthorized entry. Under no circumstances can any security or research personnel enter SCP-024. Only D-Class personnel are allowed entry, and strictly for research purposes only. All researchers are to observe and experiment with SCP-024 from the Remote Observation Lab. Any personnel attempting to leave the Remote Observation Lab or enter SCP-024 without prior approval from a Level 4 researcher must be immediately apprehended with termination authorized. Should containment be breached or SCP-024's true nature compromised, then the entire compound must be destroyed via specialized demolition charges planted throughout the compound. Description: SCP-024 is an abandoned sound stage that was once owned by Redacted. However, SCP-024 itself has been abandoned since 19 Redacted, and it is unknown whether its special properties manifested before or after its abandonment. SCP-024 is located in the heart of Redacted, and it was initially discovered when a group of teenage youths broke into the abandoned compound. The testimony of the lone winner when she turned herself in to the police was enough to have Foundation assets mobilized to contain SCP-024. Upon entering SCP-024, visitors are immediately greeted by an anonymous announcer, who communicates via intercom, and is able to hear and comprehend the voices of people within SCP-024. The announcer will inform the contestants that they are about to take part in a game show, in which the winners will win fabulous prizes, but will also warn that the game will be extremely hazardous, and that the losers will never leave SCP-024. It is at this point the announcer presents the choice of whether to stay or leave SCP-024. Contestants that win the game or decline to participate may never enter SCP-024 again, as entry is denied by an impenetrable, invisible barrier. It is then that the contestants are led to the actual game. The style, composition, and appearance of the game always changes in every individual playthrough, but the game is always centered around a long, elaborate obstacle course that the contestants must navigate through. The rules also vary. Some playthroughs may only allow a single winner, while others encourage the creation of teams to win the game. More often than not, the obstacles seen in these games range from incredibly benign to extremely hazardous and life-threatening. As the contestants attempt to negotiate the course, the announcer will continuously update their status and actively participate in the game, often giving advice, conversing with contestants, and adding new rules. As the game progresses, the obstacles become significantly more dangerous and difficult to overcome, and it is not surprising to have the entire pool of contestants succumb to the rigors of the obstacle course. If such an event happens, the announcer will express sadness at the lack of a winner, and SCP-024 will shut down, resetting only when a new batch of contestants enter. Any attempts to break the rules, such as assaulting other contestants and deliberately bypassing obstacles, are met by extreme violence. The announcer will call out the offending contestant, who will be quickly and forcefully ejected from the course by studio guardians. These studio guardians will immediately materialize within SCP-024 when called upon by the announcer, and disappear when not needed. The contestant will never be seen again. When a winner is declared, he or she will receive a random grand prize. Any contestants that have survived the course but failed to win are immediately declared losers by the announcer. The lights will switch off and the winner will immediately appear outside of SCP-024 with his or her prize, while the losers completely disappear. However, the most mysterious aspect of SCP-024 is that after every game, a VHS tape or DVD will appear in the mailbox outside of SCP-024's main entrance. This recording is a complete record of the entire game that was previously played. Even though winners have claimed that they had never seen any cameras or recording devices inside SCP-024. Also, more strangely, a live studio audience can be seen in the background, cheering on the contestants. Again, winners have claimed not to have seen a live studio audience while inside SCP-024. Addendum 1. So far, the list of prizes awarded to winners has included, but is not limited to, cash prizes, electronics, various consumer goods, cars, collectibles, full paid vacations to various countries, data expunged. Close examination of these prizes have confirmed that they are completely genuine and possess no unusable abilities or characteristics whatsoever. There appears to be no consistent pattern for what the prizes will be. Addendum 2. In an attempt to track where the losers are taken, GPS locator beacons were planted on subjects D124 through D135 when Group D245 was sent into SCP-024. When the losers were taken away, all signals from the beacons were lost. Whether this is because the beacons were destroyed or because the losers were taken to an area that cannot be located via GPS is currently unknown. Addendum 3. The announcer living within SCP-024 appears to be sentient and aware of events that take place outside of the compound. During the test of Group 523, which consisted only of Dr. Redacted, the announcer instead engaged in a conversation with Dr. Redacted. Analysis of the conversations have shown that the majority of the subjects are centered around pop culture and information distributed through television, implying that SCP-024 somehow is able to access and interpret television signals. Cutting all power and signal lines, as well as removing any potential wireless receiving equipment on SCP-024, does not affect SCP-024 in any way. When it became clear that no other contestants would participate, the announcer kindly asked Dr. Redacted to leave SCP-024 and suggested he return with more contestants. Addendum 4. The studio guardians that the announcer uses to enforce the rules vary in appearance every game, just like the course. If they appear, the guardians will always be dressed in a manner that matches with the theme of the obstacle course. The only common attributes all guardians share are the possession of humanoid appearance, ability to suddenly appear and disappear, superhuman strength, and face-concealing masks or headgear. However, winners have claimed that the Guardians have no apparent shape or form inside SCP-024, instead appearing as huge, shadowy figures that engulf the offender. SCP-025, a well-worn wardrobe. Item number SCP-025, Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-025 is only to be opened during testing, as is the room in which SCP-025 is stored. Entry codes are to be given only to authorized research and security personnel. No other containment protocols required. Description: SCP-025 is a wooden wardrobe measuring 0.97 meters by 0.62 meters by 1.95 meters, full of clothing dating from a number of time periods. Articles contained within the chest, collectively named SCP-025-1, match with styles of decades from the 1920s to the present. The apparel from each time frame varies with regard to style. For example, a polyester striped shirt and pair of charcoal suit pants both correspond with general styles of the 1970s. The only unifying aspect of every article contained in SCP-025 is that each one is in poor condition. Moths have eaten at much of the collection, and tears and runs are not uncommon. When any item from SCP-025 is put on, the wearer is observed either to die or suffer an injury within 24 hours. The cause of death or injury in these instances is invariably linked to the aforementioned flaws in the clothing, but only ever appears to be an unrelated incident. Wearing a glove with a fingertip cut off may result in the loss of the fingertip through a simple kitchen accident, like chopping onions. Similarly, a subject wearing a poncho with a sleeve missing will somehow cause the loss of the uncovered arm, be it an attack by a wild animal or a vehicular accident that necessitates the amputation of the limb. If placed in a sealed, unfurnished enclosure while wearing an item from the chest, the wearer will either seemingly spontaneously contract a flesh-eating disease that begins in the areas not covered by the clothing, or suffer the failure of an organ located beneath an imperfection in the article. Diseases arising from such incidents may or may not be contagious. No study has been successfully undertaken due to the speed at which the strains observed run their course. Recommended that, if possible, samples of the disease be taken to lab for possible weaponization. Following is an abridged testing log of SCP-025. More thorough testing will accompany the declassification of the document in its entirety. Test Log SCP-025 Section 1. Subject D778, a 42-year-old white male. Article: 1940s-era white tuxedo. Imperfection: torn seam in left shoulder. Test results. Subject was allowed free roam of the halls under Agent Redacted's supervision. For approximately 45 minutes, nothing eventful occurred. However, at Redacted, security tapes and eyewitnesses indicate that D778 appeared to make an attempt at attacking Agent Redacted. He in turn overcame the subject with a knife, causing an inch-deep gash in D778's left shoulder precisely at the point where the tuxedo's seam was ripped. Test halted. Subject later terminated. Subject D690, a 26-year-old white male. Article: 2004 Boston Red Sox baseball cap. Imperfections: missing size adjuster in back of cap. Logo in front partially removed. Test results. Placed in a sealed room with the subject was a table on which were a loaded Jericho Baby Eagle 9mm handgun, a grill lighter, and a hatchet. D690 chose to wear the cap backwards for the test. Potential effects of this decision on the outcome of the tests are unknown. Subject expressed reluctance to touch any of the objects on the table for several hours. Food and water were provided as necessary. After 4 hours of general inactivity, subject picked up the handgun and examined it. While holding it at roughly eye level, the weapon discharged into D690's forehead, where the size adjustment band would have been. The round exited the subject near the part of the hat with the missing part of the logo. Subjects: D736, a 22-year-old white male. D771, a 23-year-old white male. Article: burgundy striped sweater vest dating from 1973. Imperfections: article seemed to have been partially eaten by moths, several large holes in the front of the sweater. Test result. D736 was asked by research staff to wear the sweater vest, which he did under duress. D771 was given a loaded handgun out of sight of the other test participant and instructed to, on a given signal, fire all 6 shots in the direction of D736. After doing so, it was noted that every shot fired passed through one of the holes in the sweater vest, leaving the clothing intact and killing D736. Firearm retrieved. Surviving subject transported back to quarters. Subject: D771, a 23-year-old white male. Article: Sweater vest from above trial. Imperfections, same as mentioned. Test results. D771 was this time placed in an empty room, dimensions 15 meters by 15 meters by 15 meters. Only objects in the enclosure were lights overhead. Subject initially complained of boredom, then lay on his back and went to sleep. After 2 hours and 14 minutes, 2 of the fluorescent light tubes in the ceiling suddenly dislodged and fell. Both landed squarely on holes in the sweater, shattering upon impact. One of the tubes broke into jagged pieces that impaled D771 in several areas, but only, again, through gaps already present in the sweater vest. Subject's vitals persisted for another 6 minutes, then ceased. Further testing locations will be selected to minimize possible damage to the surrounding area. Subject: Dr. Redacted. Unplanned experiment. An unidentified individual left an article from SCP-025 on Dr. Redacted's desk that looked similar to an item of his own clothing. Any information about this incident and/or the perpetrator of same should be reported immediately to senior staff. Article: Lightweight scarf dyed a number of colors. Imperfections. Heavily pulled seam caused scarf to be considerably shorter and tighter in the middle. Test results. According to his itinerary, Dr. Redacted, wearing the item from SCP-025, was en route to the enclosure of SCP Redacted, for routine testing. However, he diverged from his intended path and began a direction towards an entirely separate wing of the facility. Subject then entered the enclosure of SCP-173 without gathering accompaniment or following safety procedures, and upon hearing the door closing, blinked. Cause of death listed as strangulation resulting from a crushed windpipe. Subject: D802, a 30-year-old Hispanic female. Article: 1980s Flashdance style white shirt. Imperfections. Right shoulder removed, left sleeve completely cut off, entire bottom hem shredded. Test results. Data expunged. All present were presumed infected, then quarantined, and data expunged. All further tests involving 1980s era fashion have been postponed indefinitely due to the expenditures and safety hazards presented by the aforementioned experiment. Full cleanup estimated to take an additional redacted weeks. Further testing authorized. Results now awaiting declassification. SCP-026 After School Retention. Item number SCP-026 Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-026 is to remain securely locked and boarded up at all times when there is no research ongoing. Alarms are set to alert the Foundation in case of entry by civilians or other agencies. Description: SCP-026 is a 3-story public school building built in Redacted. It has 2 wings connected to a central foyer. It was declared condemned in Redacted after it was found the floor plan didn't match up to the building's blueprints. See Interview Log 026-01. It came to the Foundation's attention after several disappearances in the area were linked to visits to the abandoned building. The building demonstrates spatial anomalies. Its internal space is much greater than the external surface of the building would allow. Hallways display variable length, while stairways have differing numbers of steps going up or down. The number of rooms off the hallways changes each time they are counted. Attempts to reach the far ends of the hallways have met with failure thus far. Entrance through the fire escapes located at the ends of the hallways leads to doors approximately midway down the length of the halls. All of that was crossed out. Edit. See Note 026-A. There is considerable graffiti on the interior walls of the school. Most appears typical, including gang signs, names, and street art. However, the graffiti fades and reappears, changing location. Writing on chalkboards and bulletin boards changes in a similar fashion. Subjects typically found range from standard school subjects, mathematics, literature, biology, to more esoteric subjects, such as quantum entanglement, redacted, and eugenics. One researcher reported one board detailing information about SCP redacted, but photographic evidence showed only a blank slate. See Note 026-B. The phrase, "the children used to sing," has appeared multiple times in various places throughout the building, but there is currently no explanation for its significance. A number of unconscious subjects have been found in the building, mostly of high school age, ranging from 12 to 18. They are dressed in accordance to the school's dress code, circa redacted. Several have been identified as former students or faculty of the school who disappeared after the school shut down, in at least one case more than 10 years after the closure. It is currently unknown how they were transported back into SCP-026. See Note 026-C. All attempts to wake the subjects while inside the building have failed. On being removed from the grounds of SCP-026, the subjects wake abruptly. They experience a period of confusion before dying from extremely rapid dehydration, followed by advanced decomposition. No useful intelligence has been recovered from the subjects to date. The inability to wake subjects extends to those who fall asleep on the grounds of SCP-026, though the rapid dehydration only seems to affect those who have been found on the grounds of the school. See Incident Report 026-12. Note 026-A. Robotic exploration and video feeds have shown that the apparent spatial anomalies are caused by changes in the perceptions of observers, rather than actual spatial phenomena. For this reason, SCP-026 does not require the expertise of Mobile Task Force Row 8, roadside picnickers, at this time. Update. Further exploration has shown that some spatial phenomena do occur. See the exploration logs for more details. Note 026-B. The contents of notepads, books, and pieces of paper have been observed to disappear, only to reappear on surfaces within SCP-026. New writings have appeared, mostly drawn from graffiti or textbooks. Caution should be exercised in bringing documents onto the grounds of SCP-026. Note 026-C. Several D-Class personnel exposed to SCP-026 have disappeared from Foundation control, only to reappear inside the anomalous building. The subjects in question had previously complained of dreams identical to those experienced by Agent Malik. Update. See interview log 026-08. Incident report 026-12. During a routine security check of SCP-026, Agent Malik was found unconscious by his partner, Agent Jones, in the main foyer. Initial attempts at rousing Agent Malik were ineffective, so he was moved for transportation to Site Redacted. Upon leaving the grounds of SCP-026, he woke abruptly in a state of agitation. When questioned, he revealed that he had been dreaming of a classroom setting. This dream had been consistent throughout all subjects who have fallen asleep within the grounds of SCP-026. Interview log 026-01. Interview with Redacted, former principal at SCP-026. Agent Redacted. Thank you for your time, Mr. Redacted. Redacted. Not at all. If there's one thing I have plenty of these days, it's time. So, let's get down to business. You were principal of Redacted. Back in Redacted. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. What can you tell us about that? Well, you've heard the stories, I'm sure. Folks say it was haunted. I don't know about that, but things did seem strange toward the end. Tell me about them. Let's see. There were the stairs, of course. You've heard about that, right? People would count 15 coming up and 16 going back down. I'm sure there was a trick to it, like an optical illusion, but I never could figure it out. And we had a history book that turned up completely blank. I suppose these seem rather tame, but you know how it is. Little things add up. People tell stories. Tell me about the dreams. The dreams? Oh, yes. People were complaining about nightmares, mostly students, but a few of the staff as well. It was always about school never ending. We joked about it at first, but more people talked about it. I didn't put much credence into it, but, well, when we found the blueprints didn't match up with the school, it seemed easier just to move to a new building. The schoolhouse was old anyway, and we wanted a fresh start. And just like that, things seemed to settle back to normal. I see. Is there anything else you'd like to add? It's not really much, but maybe it will make a nice footnote in that book you're writing. I still sometimes have dreams about being in my office, back at the old schoolhouse. Sometimes I'm doing my paperwork, sometimes I'm talking to someone, but it's always back behind the desk, just like old times. But gradually, I notice something's a bit off. The bell's ringing, but I don't hear anyone in the hallways. No students hurrying in or out of the classroom. No chatter, no footsteps, nothing but the bell. And it doesn't stop. The crazy thing is that I never notice it's a dream until then. I've been retired for 10 years, but until I notice the bell, I think everything's normal. Crazy, isn't it? I think it's very interesting. Thank you very much. If you think of anything else, don't hesitate to give me a call. Anytime. Exploration Logs. Exploration Log 026-4. Exploration conducted by Agent Redacted. Alright, I'm walking into the lobby. Walls are mostly bare, concrete, a little paint here and there, graffiti everywhere. A few beer bottles, some other trash. Looks like just another abandoned building. Okay, I'm making my way up the stairs. More graffiti on the walls. Okay, I'm going into the hallway. The peeling paint is kind of creepy. Looks like some sort of sheet fungus. Reminds me of Redacted. The doors are kind of weird. Some are really close, others are far. Really irregular spacing. Doesn't match up with the blueprint you showed me. Okay, here's a classroom. Pretty empty. Some old desks, real old, like they had in the 30s. The chalkboard's got a few math problems on it. Looks like trig. Okay, I'm going to check out another room. Back in the hallway, heading to the next room. Desks look more modern in this room. Made from particle board. More posters here. Looks to be from the 80s, I'd say. I recognize some of them from when I was a kid. Looks like Latin on the chalkboard. Yes, I'm taking pictures. Okay, back in the hallway, heading to the next room. Several minutes of silence. There's something really screwy with this place. I could swear the room was just a few feet away, but it feels like I've been walking for hours. Anyway, I'm here. We've got sleepers. 3 of them. 2 girls and a boy. They look to be around 14, 15. They're all wearing the same uniform. Yeah, just like you showed me. Hang on a minute while I take some pictures. At least we can figure out who they are. The furniture's pretty old looking. What's left of it. Lots of broken chairs and desks. Nothing on the walls. Chalkboards. The hell? You're not going to believe this. Redacted. It's got Agent Redacted. His notes up here. In her handwriting, even. We're going to have to be really careful what we bring in here. Yeah, I've got pictures, don't worry. Okay, I'm going to check one more room and then I'm out. Back in the hallway now, heading for the next room. Another anomaly. I've been going in the same direction this entire time, but I'm back at the stairs. Yeah, I'm just going to head down. I've had enough of this place for one day. I'll meet you at the door. The developed photos revealed. Redacted. Exploration Log 026-12 carried out remotely using a robotic drone via video feed. Exploring the first floor hallway. The hallway appeared in poor condition, with graffiti on the walls. Comparison with previous videos shows the graffiti has changed. Many of the same signs were present, but in different positions. Some seemed new. Doors were uniformly spaced on the wall. Some were intact, while others were cracked or missing entirely. First room in the hallway was the girls' bathroom. More graffiti on the walls. Several broken mirrors. A toilet had been removed from the wall entirely and placed in the center of the room. There was a great deal of porcelain and glass on the floor. The next room over was the boys' bathroom. This was skipped in favor of exploring the classrooms. The first classroom had no furniture. The chalkboard was broken in 2. On one side of the board there was a set of lines reading, "I will not pass notes during class." The other side had fragments of a lesson on redacted. There was one poster on the wall depicting Helen Keller. The second classroom was well furnished, with the largest number of intact desks to date, mostly made from wood and steel in a style used in the 1950s. There were 2 sleepers found that had not been reported in previous sweeps of the building. The first was a male teenager in a student's desk. Comparison with file 026-04 revealed him to be redacted, a former student of the school. He was reported missing 10 years after the school closed down, at age 28. The other was a woman in her mid-30s, sitting behind the teacher's desk. Her identity is still unknown. The chalkboard had a timeline of World War II overlaid with an intricate piece of graffiti. The third classroom had 15 particle board desks in various states of disrepair. A map on the back wall was consistent with the socio-political conditions of 1974. A bookshelf had collapsed and spilled a set of encyclopedias onto the floor. The robot was then guided to the end of the hallway and back to the entrance. There was no sign of spatial anomalies at this time. Exploration Log 026-15. Exploration conducted by Agent Redacted, accompanied by a robotic drone. Okay, I'm in. Lobby looks like it always does. Probably some graffiti drift. Here comes the robot. The lobby was compared to previous videos. Some differences in the graffiti were noted. Otherwise, no significant changes. I'm heading upstairs now. Damn, the robot's heavy. How much crap did you load on it? You could have warned me. Gonna rest a second on the second landing. Video coming in all right? Cool. First set of stairs was navigated without trouble. The second floor appeared similar to the first floor hallway, though with less debris. I've caught my breath, heading up to the third floor. Wish there was a guardrail. Next time it might be easier to carry the robot and the gears separately, and load it in once it's up. The gear is pretty idiot-proof. I think I could probably figure it out. Damn thing must weigh over 100 pounds. There, on the third floor now. I count 12 doors. Weird spacing. The last door's gotta be at least 100 yards down. This place is pretty messed up. Rangefinder showed the hallway was approximately 45 meters long. 5 doors on each side, evenly spaced, with one more door at the end of the hall. 11 total. I'm heading in. There's not much graffiti up here. A bit of debris. I'm opening one of the doors. Janitor's closet. And hey, we've got a janitor. He's sleeping standing up. That's new. Male. Seems to be in his mid-50s. Name tag says, redacted. A couple old broomsticks. What's left of a mop. Looks like rats have been nesting in here. They've shredded one of his pant legs, but looks like they didn't touch the sleeper himself. What? You want samples? Sure. Wouldn't be the weirdest thing I've picked up for this job. Okay, I think that's it. Comparison with file 026-4 revealed the sleeper to be redacted. Former janitor in SCP-026. Later analysis of the rat feces revealed redacted. Recommended future exploration teams wear biohazard gear. Here's a classroom. No sleepers. Couple of desks intact. The rest looks pretty bad. Looks like someone took a sledgehammer to the place. No, wait. I stand corrected. Baseball bat. It's leaning against the corner. There's about half a case of beer here. Full cans. Looks like they left in a hurry. Hey, get the robot to face the board. There's something I want you to see. Looks like Latin to me. Could be significant. Get someone to translate it. It might be a clue to what's gone down here. The Latin was found to be a series of sentences showing different conjugations of the verb vendere, to sell. All were found in redacted Latin primer, a textbook formerly used by the school. The baseball bat was aluminum, and analysis of the fingerprints was inconclusive. Okay, next classroom. Desks look fairly modern. 80s, I'd guess? Chalkboard's got a quote from Nicholas Nickleby on it. Yes, I'm sure. It says right there on the board. The sun does not shine upon this fair earth to meet frowning eyes. Depend upon it. Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. There's an apple on the desk. Looks fresh. I'm tossing it into the drone. Okay, I'm looking out the window. Hey, are you guys still out there? Because I see kids in the schoolyard. I don't see the van or any of you. Yeah, second classroom on the right. You see me? Weird. The apple appeared fresh on the video feed. However, when removed from the samples bin, it was in an advanced state of decomposition. The drone's feed through the window showed the Foundation van on the ground, and the research team looking up at the window. No children were seen in the schoolyard. Okay, you want me to head down the hallway? All right. Let's see if I actually make it this time. Not holding out any hopes. Walking forward. It looks 10 feet to the next door, which would actually put it in the last room, but who's counting? I'm still here. It's just farther than it looks. Feels like I've been walking at least a couple of hours. I'm almost there. I'm just gonna take a breather. Okay, this is wrong. I've stopped moving, but now I'm going backwards. The hallway's moving past me. Shit, I just saw the door move past me. I'm moving forward again. That's better. Okay, I'm almost there. One last dash and I should make it. And I'm back with the robot. I knew it wasn't going to work. There's no way to get there, I'm telling you. The video feed showed the next door was 30 feet away. The total elapsed time from one door to the next was 5 minutes, in which time Agent Redacted meandered towards the end of the hallway. No anomalous activity was observed while he was standing still. When he neared the end of the hallway, Agent Redacted turned around and quickly returned to the beginning of the hallway. Okay, I hear you. I've got my eyes closed. I'm walking forward. Left, got it. Going straight. Correcting left again. Correcting right now. Okay, this is going a lot faster. Okay, correcting right. Yes, right, I heard you. Damn it, I am going right. Okay, left. No, it is not the same direction. Look, if you think it's that easy, just send the robot in. The robot was able to reach the end of the hallway with no problems. Agent Redacted attempted to follow, but was unable to keep a straight line to the end of the hallway. Just go ahead and send the bot in. I'm not going to try again until we have a better idea what's in there. Something's keeping me out of there. We should figure out what it is before anything else. Look, if you want to know that badly, go yourself or request some Class Ds. I'm not going in. Deal with it. At this point, the robot opened the door and crossed the threshold into another hallway, running perpendicular to the first, 30 meters in length. No doors were visible. A single window was observed, but was situated too high for the view outside to be visible. The walls were free of graffiti. The left was a dead end, while the right terminated in a left-hand turn. The robot turned right into the new hallway. After 10 meters, the unit's GPS showed it to be outside the building, though the video feed still showed the hallway. It continued to the end of the hallway and turned left. Agent Redacted was just ahead, at the beginning of the original hallway. Turning the camera behind the robot showed only the stairwell, with no signs of the second hallway. The unit's GPS showed it by Agent Redacted position at this time. I see another classroom. I don't see the robot, though. I lost track after it went through the door. What do you mean it's outside? Did it go out through a window? Look, maybe the GPS is screwy. Calm down. What do you mean turn around? What the hell am I? Oh, F. Okay, that's enough. I'm calling it for the day. We can come back after we get some Class Ds in here. Interview log 026-08. Dr. Redacted. Please have a seat. Agent Walker. Thank you. Dr. Redacted. Let's get down to business. I understand you're requesting a transfer out of fieldwork. Would you like to talk about that? I'd rather not. It's your choice. However, I can't approve a transfer without reason. Look, The agent paused here. You've seen my record. You know I worked on 26, right? I've read the report. I was there the first time we took one of the sleepers out. A lot of them were adults when they disappeared, but they're kids again when we find them. So I see this 16-year-old boy just kind of shrivel away. I had nightmares that night. You're supposed to report any unusual dreams after contacting a potentially mind-altering phenomenon. It hadn't been declared a mind screw yet. We just thought it was a weird space thing. We were just watching it until the picnickers got there. And it was a shock, you know? We weren't expecting anything like that. Anyway, I got over it quick enough. I'd seen worse. I once had a guy melt while I was holding on to him. I see. What happened next? Nothing for a while. I went in a couple of times, but didn't see anything too weird. But look, I know I should have reported it. But one of my buddies had just been disappeared after getting touched by some weird script, and I didn't want it to happen to me. You've been affected by an SCP. Yeah, it was a week later. I was dozing in the back of the van, and I started dreaming. Can you describe this dream? Just like the others. You've read the reports, right? Pretend that I haven't, for a second. For the record, Agent Walker. Alright, I'm in a classroom. It's just like one of the ones in 026, but new. Not falling apart. I knew the teacher's name. I knew who was sitting by me, even though I'd never seen most of them before. The bell started ringing, but no one moved. I raised my hand, but the teacher didn't notice. Finally, I tried to leave, but the door wouldn't open. Then I noticed something strange in my hand. It had color. Everything else was black and white. But I felt like I was the one who was wrong, out of place. That's when I woke up. The van was leaving. No one else noticed I'd been asleep. And you didn't think to report this? Like I said, I was scared. And this was before they found Malik. I figured it was just another nightmare, nothing weird. And after Malik had his dream, well, they didn't do anything with him, so I figured it wasn't a big deal. He was put on observation. You should have been as well, for your own safety and for the safety of others. You paper pushers think it's all so easy, don't you? Sitting behind a desk all day. You don't know what it's like. Well, things aren't so clear out there. Not when you're the one hunting, talking cats in a sewer, or waiting to see if you're the one who's not going to come back this time. Agent Walker was visibly distressed. It was several minutes before she calmed down enough to continue the interview. Anyway, it wasn't until later that we connected the dreams with the sleepers. Not until they found those Class Ds on the second floor. Still, I thought I might be okay. I wasn't actually inside of 26 when I dreamed. I wasn't sure until the dreams started. You're having reoccurrences? Yeah. They started 6 months ago. It's the same dream, but each time, it takes me a little longer to notice it isn't real. And when I look at my hands, they're a little more gray. End interview 026-08. Note: Agent Walker has since been given a Class A amnestic and returned to fieldwork. SCP-027. The Vermin God. Item number SCP-027. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. The host of SCP-027, currently Subject 027-02, is to be kept in a 5 meter by 5 meter containment cell with a grated, raised floor connected to a strong vacuum system. All creatures removed from the subject's containment cell are to be incinerated, except for a small portion to be diverted for analysis and necropsy. The cell is to be cleaned and inspected for structural damage daily. Subject 027-02 must be monitored by at least 2 personnel at all times. Any unusual behavior or vital signs on the part of the subject or the appearance of any unusual species in the subject's vicinity must immediately be reported to Level 4 personnel. Security personnel assigned to SCP-027 must be inoculated against all known animal-borne pathogens and must be armed with tranquilizer guns with standing orders to subdue the subject if the need arises. Until SCP-027 is better understood, no personnel of Level 4 clearance or higher should approach within 200 meters of the subject. Description: SCP-027 appears to be a phenomenon of unknown source that seems to be tied to one human subject, currently 027-02, at a time. As host to SCP-027, Subject 027-02 is constantly surrounded by swarming vermin that are drawn to his location. The subject does not appear able to assert control over these creatures in any way, and is in fact prone to occasional attacks from feral specimens. These creatures have also been known to attack personnel who approach too closely. Wherever the subject goes, an initial swarm of flying insects, such as gnats and flies, will start to form a cloud around him, usually within 2 to 3 minutes. Shortly thereafter, crawling animals, including lice, cockroaches, worms, spiders, data expunged, mice, and rats will begin to appear. The longer the subject remains in a location, the more vermin will gather there. When the subject leaves a location, some of these creatures will follow, but most will disperse. SCP-027 has been known to transfer between hosts once upon the death of the first known host, Subject 027-01. See Appendix 1 for more information. Since SCP-027 could likely repeat this feat upon the death of Subject 027-01, SCP-027-02. All high-value personnel should be kept far away from the current host until more about SCP-027 is understood. SCP-027 has also likely transferred between hosts an unknown number of times before containment. Research into potential previous hosts has commenced, with preliminary evidence suggesting that SCP-027 may have existed for at least redacted years. It is not yet known how SCP-027 chooses or attracts animals, or even what SCP-027 exactly is. The previous host never expressed having any sort of communication with a separate conscious entity. Analysis of the current host has been inconclusive at best. Appendix 1. Timeline of significant events. 04 redacted, 19 redacted. Subject 027-01 is discovered in an abandoned warehouse outside redacted that had been completely overrun by rats, cockroaches, and other vermin, and is contained and catalogued as SCP-027. The subject is described as a Caucasian male in his late 30s, of average height but gaunt, filthy, and covered in bites and scratches. The subject also shows symptoms of degraded mental health, evidence of heavy use of alcohol and illicit drugs, and signs of prolonged sleep deprivation. 10 redacted, 2000 redacted. Subject expires. Autopsy shows more than 70% of the subject's body data expunged. A colony of rats nesting in the subject's abdomen for at least redacted generations. 10 redacted, 2000 redacted. Between 140 and 150 hours after the subject's death, security officer, redacted, reports being awoken by breathing problems due to a large housefly having crawled up his nose, later shown to have laid eggs. Subsequent observations led to categorization of officer, redacted, as subject 027-02. The original host is reclassified as subject 027-01, and SCP-027 is redefined. Data expunged. Appendix 2. Transcript of Interview 027-201. The following interview was conducted on 10 redacted, 2000 redacted, shortly after subject 027-02 was identified and transferred to the containment cell that had housed subject 027-01. Dr. Jameson. Good morning, Officer, redacted. How are you feeling? Subject 027-02. Scared? Confused? Mostly scared, though. Understandable. And itchy. I feel like I need to shower all the damn time. But what about, inside? Do you feel anything different inside you? Like, presence? Thinks. Scratches his head. No, I don't think I do. I haven't really noticed anything like that. You haven't felt anything different since the original host died? Besides the itching? No, can't say I have. What about any sort of voices or compulsions? Agitated. No, I haven't felt anything except bugs crawling all over me. I feel dirty and scared and Doc, what about my family? You gotta get this thing out of me so I can see them again. Of course. We're going to do everything we can to get 027 out of you. I'm sorry. Redacted. Shortly after this interview took place, Dr. Jameson and several other members of the research team for SCP-027 were transferred to the SCP-1772 project. Good night, everyone.